So, with a couple of those thoughts, I'd love to hear, how you'd like people to apply, both that Deuteronomy message in their walks as believers, and other passages. Romans 8, there's also a picture of we're not going to be separated from the Lord, and then there's probably others I could do a Bible study around that idea. But yeah, from your perspective, how would you like people to apply some of those messages I just shared?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's right. I think that, even when we think about where Deuteronomy 31 was written, and the people of God have, they've been led out of Egypt and out of captivity, and that's a great triumph. Like you said, that's the pinnacle moment for the people of God. It's the proof right there that God is faithful. And Exodus says that when they cross the seas, the first thing they do is stop and they sing the song of Moses and Miriam, and it's a song about the triumph of God, the fact that God is faithful, and they sing about what He's done. He's led us through the seas, He's turned over the chariots, and I think we have those songs that are songs of triumph, and they sing about. You can sing practically about what God has done. But these scriptures in Deuteronomy are written when, it's in between that time of having experienced this massive mountaintop moment, this massive triumph of the faithfulness of God, and then waiting in the wilderness for God to fulfill His promise to lead them into the promised land. And that's where you read all these scriptures like, Deuteronomy 4 that says He's a merciful God. He won't abandon you. He won't destroy or forget the covenant that He made to your fathers. And I think I resonate with that because, it's easy to see the faithfulness of God when our circumstances are kind of all lining up. But, we don't worship God because our circumstances. We worship God because He's worthy. And we worship God because of His character, that He is faithful even in those moments of waiting. And, Deuteronomy 20 is again, it just reiterates that message that, when we're at war, so, you've got the triumph, but then you've got these moments that feel like battle. They feel like, we're going to war with our enemies. And it says in Deuteronomy 20, verse 1, that, the enemies may even have larger armies than us. But it says, remember the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, that He is with you. And I think that there is those moments when where not only are we waiting on God, but then we start to feel opposition. We start to experience, it could be a bad medical report, it could be something in our family, a relationship, or, we have these moments while we're waiting, and they feel like intense moments of opposition. And I think these words of Deuteronomy ring true, that we've got to remind ourselves in those moments that God is actually still with us. It's the same God who was with us in the triumph is with us right here in these moments. And then, it kind of, to me, all these Deuteronomy passages kind of culminate in this Deuteronomy 31 passage where, Moses gathers Joshua and says to him in the presence of all of Israel, be strong and courageous, for you must go with these people into the land that the Lord swore to your ancestors to give you, and you must divide it among them as your inheritance. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. So do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. When I think about that, I think, here the people of God, they're waiting on a physical place as the land of their inheritance. But I think for us, the presence of God is our inheritance. It's the thing that God promised we would have. That Jesus said, I'll leave you my Spirit. And that's the thing that is our inheritance. And we all have, as believers, received that. And that's our great comfort. That's our great source of courage in the face of fear is that God is faithful to do what He said. He's given us this inheritance of His presence. And we need to remind ourselves that we can face the day because of His mercies, because of His faithfulness. And, He hasn't, as the lyric says, He's been faithful and He always will be, no matter what it is that we are encountering